All right. Happy Thursday. And I don't know about you, but I have been looking forward to this one since last Tuesday when we saw the winter premiere of The Flash. Sorry about my hair. It does this after I get out of the shower. It looks weird. But yeah, the winter premiere of The Flash, and oh wow, have I been holding in a rant about this one. So let me know. Let me know in the chat room if you guys can hear me okay. So, yeah. Arrow is back, Flash is back, and, yeah. Some very differing opinions on each. So just let me know in the chat room if you guys can hear me okay, and then we'll get started, because can't wait to do that. Yes, I can hear you. Okay. The Flash. Winter premiere. Season 3, Episode 10. Borrowing problems from the future. Let's unload on this turd, shall we? 2 months after the winter finale, Barry is fretting about what to do about Iris's impending murder, and so far, he has told no one. He's keeping this information entirely to himself, thus robbing the team of 2 months that they could have used to take steps to stop Iris's impending murder. Caitlin is worried that her power-dampening cuffs are going to stop working, so instead of talking to Cisco about this, she goes to Julian for help. Because that makes sense to her, somehow. Unbeknownst to anyone, HR has turned Star Labs into a museum. So the lab will have some sort of income. Which begs the question of how the hell they've been keeping the lights on for the last 3 seasons if they've had no income. I'll get to it. Barry finally decides that not telling anyone that Iris is going to be murdered soon is kind of dumb, so he tells them, and they finally, 2 months later than they should have, start doing something about it, which includes letting Wally take down some guy named Plunder when Barry had done it in the future. And that was the episode for this week. Oh boy. Where to start? Where to start? Guys, this is not a good show. It's just not. The amount of problems these episodes run into on a weekly basis could fill a book at this point. And it's just the tip of the iceberg, but my God, Barry Allen really is a terrible lead character. I mean, the actor seems capable enough, but the writing sabotages him at every single turn. Most of the time, he oscillates between being the stupidest person who ever lived or just being an unlikable asshole. And here he moves into new territory of being an unintelligible ass clown. Because I swear to God, his behavior in the first half of this episode makes no goddamn sense. He has known about Iris being murdered in the future for 2 months and has told no one. And they try to explain this away like he's not sure what to do for fear of causing those events to occur. And he does ask HR for advice. I will credit them for at least trying to explain this, but they don't do a good job. Okay, number one, why didn't he ask HR about this 2 fucking months ago when he found out about it? Number 2, he's apparently been doing nothing to prevent Iris's death for 2 months, which is baffling in and of itself. Number 3, this is all bullshit anyway, because Barry knows that the slightest change can alter the future so drastically that it can cause alien genocides on the other side of the galaxy, so he should already know what it takes to change the future. At least a properly written Barry should. But we don't have a properly written Barry. We have this idiot. We have the guy who, stop me if you've heard this one, tries talking to Plunder instead of just taking him down, thus giving Plunder the opportunity he needs to attack and escape, causing Barry to need Wally to save his ass and stop the bad guy by himself, and then Barry chews Wally out for not shadowing him, even though if Wally had shadowed him, they'd probably both be dead. Because Barry Allen is a prick. And yeah, he apologized to Wally later, but Jesus Christ, I cannot get through just one fucking episode without wanting to punch Barry in the face anymore. Oh, speaking of things that don't make sense, check this out. How the fuck did HR build a museum in Star Labs without any of them knowing about it? Wouldn't they have noticed at some point in the last couple of months when they walked into the place? I mean, it's like 100 feet away from the fucking lab. It's in the same building. And since Barry owns Star Labs, technically, wouldn't he have had to sign off on any renovations? Wouldn't he have at least known about this? Beats me how they can just gloss over all that. Beats me how he could have done that and have it just be a big fucking surprise to everybody. I mean, you think the construction workers would have made noise or something, but apparently not. And then they actually have the balls to give HR a hard time about this, even though he's the only one of them who seems to understand that people, need money to live. Yeah, he did this so Star Labs would actually have some kind of income, would actually have some money coming in. Meaning that apparently Star Labs has had no income for the last 3 years since the particle accelerator shut everything down. Because they've been so busy fighting metahumans that they didn't have the time to run a fucking business. So if that's the case, how the fuck have they been paying for all the advanced tech they build on a weekly basis? How have they been paying to feed and house all the metahumans that they have illegally locked up in the particle accelerator? Oh, I've got something to say about that in just a few minutes. Have Cisco and Caitlin been working for free this whole time? If they've had no income, then how the hell have they been paying for all this stuff? I don't fucking know! The show doesn't tell us! Then there's Caitlin. She's worried about the power dampening cuffs breaking down. If they break down, she becomes evil because magic or some bullshit like that. Whatever, they've never explained it and they're probably not going to, whatever. But if the cuffs break down, she becomes evil. That's what they're going with. Now, it seems to me that the obvious thing to do here would be to simply ask Cisco to make her another pair of cuffs as a backup, just in case anything were to happen to the cuffs that she's using. But it seems that these are the only ones that Cisco wants to make. Because, as any good engineer will tell you, redundancies are for pussies. So instead of that, Caitlin goes to Julian for help. Why? Because Julian is the world's most foremost expert on metahumans. What? When the fuck did I miss something here? Julian is a fucking forensics guy at the police department. Okay, he's probably researched metahumans a fair amount, but all of a sudden he's the world's foremost expert on them? When the fuck did this become a thing? They are pulling this out of their asses! And it comes off like complete horseshit, because considering the events of the last 3 seasons, you know who the real world's most foremost expert on metahumans probably is in the Arrowverse? Caitlin! Or Cisco! Or, God help us, Barry! But now, because Cisco didn't bother to make her, some spare cuffs, or a fucking battery pack for the cuffs that she's already got, Caitlin invites Julian to join Team Flash because she's terrified that she's going to become evil, even though we'd seen her cuffs breaking down exactly 0 times up until that point. And she gives the team this teary-eyed speech about how about all this that's supposed to tug on our heartstrings. But again, it comes off like bullshit because we've barely seen any evidence of this at all. If she was so scared of turning evil, why did she take the cuffs off just so she could use her powers to make it snow on Christmas in the episode right before this one? By the way, when she did that, she was totally fine. Didn't turn evil or anything. Do you see how fucking poorly constructed this whole story is? This is so sloppy, I don't understand how it even got off the drawing board. But, you know what? At least Julian being on the team is kind of cool. Is it really unwise, considering that he could turn back into alchemy at any time? Oh, hell yeah. But it still might be nice having him there, because, let's be honest, Team Flash could really use another likable character about now. You know something I really appreciated about Julian this week? When he talks to Caitlin, he mentions that he feels guilty about the cops that Savitar killed. Even though Julian had no control over himself when he was alchemy, he still feels bad, and he still blames himself for the police officers that lost their lives against Savitar. Meanwhile, here's Barry Allen, who last season basically allowed an entire squad of police to get cut down like animals by Zoom because he was too much of a pussy to try to get his powers back and handle his responsibilities like a man, and hasn't spent 1 fucking second feeling bad about that ever since. Fuck you, Barry Allen. So finally, Barry decides to tell the team that Iris is going to get murdered. Now, why he didn't tell them immediately after he found out 2 months ago is fucking asinine, but he tells them. And here's where they finally start doing something productive. Cisco vibes Barry into the future. When Cisco got time-traveling powers, I'm not exactly sure, but they use this to get clues from the news broadcast. And they figure if they can change those events, maybe they can stop Iris from getting murdered. Maybe they can alter the future in some way. I like this part, because it shows the team actually using their brains for once. Of course, if they thought it would be that easy, again, it's like, why didn't Barry just tell them sooner, you know? But who are we kidding? The writers probably just didn't think ahead. But I do like this plan. You know, the team are using their heads here. And that's a fucking rarity. That's a fucking rarity on this show. I fucking lost my place here. Hang on. Alright. So yeah, the team are using their heads here. Thank you. Although, a really easy solution to this problem is staring them right in the face. Right in the face. If you want to stop Iris from getting killed on this date, 4 months from now in the future, just send her away. Get her out of the city. Get her out of the country. Lock her in an underground bunker on the other side of the world or something. If she's not in the city when she's supposed to get killed, if she's not anywhere near the Flash, then maybe Savitar won't be concerned with her. But, nah, fuck that noise. They're not going to do that. It would make too much sense. It could at least suggest it as a possibility, though. So, they have Wally capture that Solid Snake cosplayer Plunder instead of Barry, thus changing the future because Barry was the one who captured him in the future. So they changed that. Cisco and Julian make a solar battery for Caitlin's cuffs because apparently it took both of them to think of a battery. And that's about it. So, yeah, in case you haven't figured it out yet, I did not think this episode was very good. I didn't. It honestly feels like they're writing this show for 5-year-olds a lot of the time. Really, really dumb 5-year-olds. So many things about this show completely fall apart under the tiniest bit of scrutiny. And now there's this huge storyline that's going to last the rest of the season about stopping Iris's murder, when the really ironic thing is that it would probably improve the show a lot if they killed her off. Think about it. It's not like this character contributes much of anything. She's become pretty superfluous, actually. All the other characters contribute some kind of... All the others are bringing something to the table. Like, they're scientists, or they have superpowers, or they're like... they have connections in the police department, or they're forensics people, or something. What does Iris do? She's the girlfriend. I mean, sure, she was still primarily the chemistry deficient love interest in the first two seasons, but she had a couple things to do aside from that. I mean, not many things, and none of it was very interesting, but she had some other stuff going on at least. But in season 3, all that's been jettisoned. Iris has really just been a prop. She exists just to be Barry's girlfriend, which I never cared about because that relationship has been poorly written and developed from the get-go, and until the previous episode, to nag Wally about not doing the only thing that I want him to do, which is be a fucking superhero. And now they're doing this Iris is murdered in the future thing, where Iris is basically just turned into a big plot device instead of a character in her own right. And if this is all the writers think this character is good for, then why don't they just get rid of her? I'm serious. I mean, if you think about it, the way she's used now is really just dragging the show down. She's a plot device, an accessory instead of a fucking character. If they don't want to actually do something interesting with her, just fucking get rid of her. Okay. Barry has no right to tell Wally how to be a superhero. Oh, good God, don't get me started. It's like, oh, Wally is saying, oh, Barry, how do you know all this stuff? Experience. Oh, okay, now, Wally, I want you to shadow me on this mission, okay? Don't do anything. Don't try to get involved. Just shadow me. And fuck. And then Barry fucks up. He needs Wally to save his life and stop the bad guy on his own. And then he says, Wally, damn you, Wally, you were supposed to shadow me. God damn it. It's like, fuck Barry. God damn it. I hate this fucking character. Wally has been a superhero for one fucking episode. He's already better at it than Barry is. For fuck's sake. Oh my God, this guy is unbearable. The best thing the Flash writers could do was have Barry sacrifice himself to save Iris and make amends for all his mistakes, then Wally takes over as the new Flash in Season 4. Better idea. Have Barry sacrifice himself, but fail to save Iris, so we get rid of both of them. And then have Wally take over as the new Flash in Season 4. That would be better. Then we get rid of two intolerable characters. The Music Meister name drop is confirmation he'll be the villain in the Supergirl Flash musical crossover. Oy. Man, I'm trying to keep an open mind, but that just sounds like it's going to be a complete... just going to be just goofy as hell. How... man. Gorilla attack means we'll be seeing Grodd again. Yeah. I'm not sure how they're going to justify that. I mean, they gave Grodd exactly what he wanted. He wanted to be with other intelligent gorillas, while they sent him to a parallel universe where there are tons of them. And they gave him exactly what he wanted, so what's the problem? Who knows? If they want to save Iris, why not just give her a ticket to an undisclosed location overseas somewhere and not have her come back for 5 months to be safe? Yeah. They could do that. But they probably won't. because it would make sense. And these characters and these writers don't like doing things that make sense because they're stupid. Barry telling people how to be a hero is like a rapist telling someone they're a sexual deviant for being a furry. Good one. Oh yeah, I forgot. That one minor change can lead to an interstellar war. Jesus Christ, I wonder how many genocides have happened on other worlds this time. Yeah. I bet on the other side of the universe, Barry has become infamous as some kind of genocidal madman. He's the universe's greatest monster. He's worse than Galactus or the fucking Anti-Monitor or Darkseid. He can wipe out entire alien civilizations with one jaunt through time and space. Oh God, fuck this character. Oh man. You would think that Flashpoint would have proven that the future can be altered and that these great minds at Star Labs spend the whole episode wondering if it can be done. I know! They should already know! They should already fucking know this! I mean, they've already explained to us how quickly and how easily time can completely go off the rails and just go in a separate direction. And now he's wondering, hey, is it possible to change time? Can I change the future? You fucking know you can change the future, you dumb son of a bitch! God! God, this guy is infuriating. But Starfire will show up next episode saying her entire world exploded as a result of him stopping Plunder. Well, technically, what they did to Plunder was not changing anything, because they didn't actually change time. They changed the present in order to affect a different outcome in the future. That's not the same as time traveling, changing something, and then going back to the present. Because really what they're doing here is just what you do normally. It's just making decisions that, you know, in each decision creates a different possible outcome. So what they're doing right now is not technically changing time, but it's a difficult tightrope to walk. I think the idea is that he built the museum when they were gone, or like overnight, I guess. Oh, so they were all out of Star Labs for 2 months. Barry didn't have to sign off on any renovations, even though he fucking owns the building. No, not buying it. I'm not defending that. It's retarded, but there you go. An answer, a terrible one. Okay. Is it just me, or has Cisco been really unlikable this season? He has been a complete jerk to everyone at some point, except maybe Iris and Joe. It's not just you. I think the problem is that this whole Cisco resenting Barry for his brother dying thing was just really poorly handled. First, we see him in like bereavement counseling or whatever, like 6 months after his brother's death. It's like, which rings completely false in the first place because him and his brother weren't exactly close. Like, they barely had a relationship. We saw them together, like, what, fucking, like twice, 3 times over 2 seasons? And they barely got along. And now 6 months after his death, Cisco was still so completely broken up about it. And then he blames, and then he spends several episodes blaming Barry. Look, hey, I get it, man. Barry is a piece of shit. I get being mad at him. But again, that whole thing just was not poorly handled. I totally got his anger at Barry, but could have been executed better. Let's see. Julian became the world's foremost expert on metas when Flash changed the past. See Flashpoint. Thank the crown of the King Washington. He didn't change anything else important. Oh, so it all happened off screen then. Oh, great. That's the same thing as them pulling it out of their ass. I'm guessing you aren't watching the next season of The Flash. Oh, who the fuck knows? Let's see. If stopping his mom from dying caused a genocide on an alien world, then what will changing Iris... Sorry, cut off. What will changing Iris's death do? Is what I meant to say. That's the thing, though. He didn't stop his mom from dying. He did, but then he went back and allowed the death to happen as it was always meant to. So, really, he changed nothing at all. And even changing nothing at all caused an alien genocide. So, yeah, it's really fucked up. But again, changing Iris's death isn't necessarily changing time, because they're not going to a different place in the timeline and changing something and then going back. They're all changing things in the present, which is technically within the rules, I think. So I understand that part. Who's worse, Barry or Robbie E? Ugh. Barry. As annoying as Robbie is, he's mostly harmless. He's an irritating little fucker, but he's a harmless, irritating little fucker. Robbie hasn't caused any genocides. Barry has caused at least one that we know of, and almost caused 2 others. So, yeah, I think Barry's worse. Why does Oliver get more crap than Barry when Barry almost killed the world 2 times? Because these writers suck. It's a double standard. Oliver always gets held accountable when he fucks up. And plus he's man enough to take responsibility for it when he fucks up. Whereas Barry is always getting let off the hook. And, he's always having people saying, oh, don't blame yourself. Don't take accountability for your mistakes. You don't have to do that. It wasn't your fault. So it's this really strange double standard where Oliver is the one who always has to take responsibility and be a real hero and take the bad with the good, but then Barry only gets the good. He's got people always idolizing him and telling him how awesome he is. And when he makes mistakes, it's like those mistakes are kind of, the consequences of those mistakes are just kind of washed away for the most part. And the rare occasions when they're not, he gets forgiven for them pretty quickly. So I don't know why Oliver and Barry are not held to the same standards there. It's really strange. Yes, I know this belongs in the Arrow part of the show, but who saw that coming? Well, everyone saw it coming. They put it in the trailer. Yeah. Because Ollie is a Fall Guy and Barry is a Marty Stew. Google it. Yeah. Let's see. Thoughts on the new Star Wars Last Jedi movie title? I believe Kylo Ren will kill Luke and Rey will take Luke's place and take on Kylo Ren. The Last Jedi? I think it's a good title. I like it. We don't know anything about the story yet, so it's a catchy title. Better than Attack of the Clones. Actually sounds cool. I think Kylo Ren will kill Luke. Oh man, I really hope not. If Kylo Ren has to kill somebody, I hope it's Leia. Because if Leia survives Episode 8, then they're going to have a problem on their hands. Because Carrie Fisher has passed on, and now they've got 2 movies of setup, and they're gonna have to explain why Leia's not there in Episode 9, because they already said that they're not gonna recreate her digitally. So the story is gonna be really they're gonna have an issue to deal with there. So if Kylo Ren's gotta kill somebody, I hope it's Leia, just so they don't have to explain away all that. But no, man, I want Luke to stay alive. No. I mean, if he's gonna get killed off in Episode 9, okay. But man, I don't want him to die in Episode 8. We already lost Han. Man, let's keep Luke alive. I mean, he's got to train Rey. So, I mean, I mean, she's not going to become a full-fledged Jedi in one movie. He needs to stay alive. It seems as if the Flash is rinse and repeat. Barry tries to stop a disaster, and then he makes it worse. If Barry tries to save Iris, then who will die instead? I don't know. Because I believe, Savitar did give that prophecy or whatever the hell it was. Like, one will betray you, one will die, and one will wish they were dead, or something like that. So, someone's gonna die. Will it be Iris? Probably not. I really doubt they'll have the balls to do that. Flash just isn't that type of show. My guess is it'll be HR. Because they can always just reach into the multiverse and pull out another Harrison Wells. So they'll probably take the pussy way out on that one. Planet Thanagar will die and the Hawk people will invade. Yeah. Remember that old Justice League? Remember the Justice League animated series? They did that big season finale where the Thanagarian invasion of Earth. They couldn't do something like that. It'd be cool though. Let's see. Who do you think will win the Rumble? Well, if they want to do Brock versus Goldberg main event at WrestleMania, and my guess is they do, then one of them will get it. I'm thinking Brock. Okay, so if we assume that if the main event of WrestleMania is Goldberg Brock again, that's going to be the one where Brock gets the win back. And we know that they're teasing that Goldberg wants another title reign, so he's going to be going for the title. So I think Brock wins the Rumble, and then maybe Goldberg wins the world, wins a title shot, and then wins the title from Kevin Owens at fucking whatever the next pay-per-view is, Elimination Chamber, I think. And they set up Brock Goldberg for the title in Mania. That'd be my guess. And let's go. In the future, guys, let's try to keep things on topic. Good. Let's save the off-topic stuff for afterwards. So, moving on to Arrow, Season 5, Episode 10, Who Are You? So, Laurel's back. Except that she's not actually back. The team finds out pretty quickly that this is not Laurel, but actually her Earth 2 doppelganger, Black Siren, who we met on The Flash last season. Black Siren, who was broken out of Star Labs by Prometheus, which Team Flash either didn't know about or didn't bother to tell them about, both of which make Team Flash look like the worst people in the world. So now, Black Siren is working for Prometheus under duress. They capture her, and there's some debate about whether or not they can reach her before Felicity goes into business for herself. She was doing a lot of that this episode. And allows her to escape so she can lead them to Prometheus. And they don't get Prometheus, but they recapture Black Siren, and they're going to keep an eye on her by keeping her housed at Argus. Meanwhile, the DA is going to represent Dig against that general who couldn't look more shady if he tried, and Oliver wants to look for a new Black Canary. And as luck would have it, the end of the episode shows us a girl who looks a lot like Laurel, and she just happens to have a sonic scream as well. Because they just grow on trees, apparently. Okay, the Laurel thing. Got a lot of mixed feelings about this. Now, I will admit, Laurel had slowly begun to grow on me over the previous 2 seasons or so. Well, previous season and a half. And I was kind of looking forward to having her back, surprisingly enough. So, in a way, I'm disappointed. On the other hand, Arrow has been pulling the resurrection card a lot in recent times. And this is a show that used to have balls of steel when it came to killing off important characters to service the story. So, while I kind of wanted Laurel back because I think killing off Black Canary when they did was kind of a waste of a character that had finally started to become likable, I do respect the producers for sticking to their guns and keeping her dead. And I did suggest that they do this last season. Move Black Siren to Star City, make her a recurring villain on Arrow. Because that could lead us to a lot of really cool story possibilities. So that's a positive. What bugs me about this, though, is the fake-out. That was the big mid-season cliffhanger. Like, ZOMG, Laurel's back, holy shit, to be continued in 2 months. And then they just immediately pull the rug out, like, fooled you! I mean, honestly, the whole thing felt like kind of cheap and manipulative to me. Like they just wanted a cool cliffhanger for the mid-season to go out on and didn't really intend to follow through on it. So they just got people's hopes up for nothing. Right? That bothered me. I mean, if you were gonna reveal that it's Black Siren this quickly, then don't do the Laurel cliffhanger and make people wonder about that for the entire mid-season hiatus and then just take it away. Now, I am at least glad they didn't drag that out for too long, though, because, I mean, there's no way the story she gave them would have held up, even if Felicity hadn't caught on to her so quickly. I mean, sure, she did point out how fucking ludicrous it is that Sarah couldn't use the time machine to save Laurel, because that was her whole excuse. Yeah, Sarah saved me. She has a time machine. She can do that. It was real easy. It's like they're shining a big spotlight on how stupid it was that Sarah couldn't do that. But if it had happened that way, Sarah would have mentioned it when they met up with her in the big crossover, Heroes versus Aliens. So there were holes in that story, and they were going to figure it out quickly either way. But thank God that they found out it wasn't the real Laurel before they told Quentin she was back. Can you imagine if he had thought he had his daughter back, only to find out that it was all a lie and she was still dead? It would have been the 4th fucking time that poor bastard has been through this. Quite frankly, he's suffered enough. And then there's the story of this. Now, I can accept that maybe Prometheus was keeping tabs on Team Flash because they're Team Arrow's allies, and that's how he knew about Black Siren in the first place. But where this gets really fucking funny is that he breaks her out of Star Labs, and Cisco is just now letting them know about it. So, apparently, she escaped, and Team Flash didn't even realize she was gone for 3 days! Jesus Christ, how does that happen? How do you not notice something like this? It's unbelievable that this is a thing now. Somebody actually put that in the fucking script. Black Siren escapes, Team Flash, clueless. It's as if the Arrowverse suddenly became self-aware, realized what bumbling dumb fucks Team Flash are, and instead of just trying to fix the problem, it decided to just point and laugh. She escaped and they didn't even notice. Get it? It's funny because Team Flash suck. Even the other DC shows are going out of their way to point out what incompetent fucking numbskulls Team Flash are. Oh my god, fuck that show. But you know what else this means too? This means that on top of holding all those metahuman prisoners in Star Labs illegally, Team Flash is also not feeding them or letting them out for exercise or anything like that. They're literally just throwing these people in cells and leaving them alone to rot. It's the only thing that explains how one of their prisoners could escape without them even realizing she was gone for several days. Like, the only thing that makes any sense is that they weren't bringing her food or watching her, or like watching her with like surveillance cameras or anything. Otherwise, they would have noticed. Somebody would have noticed she was gone. But nobody noticed. So, that begs the question of how those prisoners aren't all starving to death. But, fuck it, that's the Flash's problem. But, wait a minute, wait. Here's a question. If Black Siren showed up in the Arrow Cave, doesn't that mean that Prometheus knows where their base is? Yeah, probably. So why they're not taking steps to fortify the place or move somewhere else is anyone's guess, but back to the story. This episode did a good job of making Black Siren very ambiguous. She's doing Prometheus's bidding, but it's because she's afraid of him. She's got the sympathetic backstory. It's not a sure thing that she didn't have ulterior motives when she asked Oliver to meet her at the statue. And Oliver does seem to kind of get through to her a little bit when they're talking while she's locked up. But then she still tries to kill them at the end. So, if the plan is to slowly redeem her, which I suspect may be the case, they're keeping it very much up in the air about like whether that's a possibility or not. And that was well done. As was Oliver's reaction to her. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted them to use Black Siren, because it gives a window into Oliver's head like we saw here. He blames himself for Laurel's death, and he thinks that if he can redeem Black Siren, it might make up for that somehow. It might, it might redeem him somehow. And it might offer up a little bit of forgiveness for him allowing Laurel to die, because of course he blames himself for that. It's Oliver. He blames himself for everything. And like I said, it's very ambiguous about whether or not she is redeemable. So I like the character moments that it brought out here. If I had one real complaint about this whole thing, it's that Black Siren seemed to be strangely depowered compared to when we saw her last. Last season, in the episode where she showed up, her first appearance over on The Flash, she could take down a building with her sonic scream. And here it seems like a lot less powerful for some reason. Like she can't even knock out Oliver and Felicity. Felicity's glasses don't even break. You just have to cover her ears, and then afterwards she's fine. She's even well enough to punch Black Siren's lights out. Holy shit! Yeah, that was a thing now. Black Siren gets knocked unconscious by Felicity, of all people, with one punch. Because fucking Felicity has knockout power now. Because we saw her working out with the punching bag, and that's like in one scene, and that's all it takes. So Black Siren can shrug off getting hit by a car, but one punch from the 90-pound IT girl and she goes down. Yeah, sorry, I'm not buying that one. I'm just not. But man, these writers are just not going to be satisfied until Felicity reaches epic Mary Sue proportions, are they? I mean, I've bashed Laurel as much as anybody, and even I called bullshit on that. The subplots were fine. I liked seeing another side of Curtis. We don't really see him get angry, like, ever, so that was nice. I don't know if he really needed to get his ass kicked a bunch of times to learn that he needs to focus on what he's got rather than trying to be a fighter. Though I do hope this leads to him starting to develop all that tech Mr. Terrific has in the comics, like those floating orb things. Then there's the dig stuff that that kind of has me wondering how no one in the government is caught on to this corrupt general, because he's not even trying to hide how corrupt he is. But the DA outsmarting him was pretty cool. That's about it. I'm not gonna lie, the fake out annoyed me. And there were some things that you had to take with a grain of salt here, like Team Flash not knowing they had an escaped prisoner for 3 fucking days. Oh my god. But this was still a really good episode. Although Felicity was grating on me at times. like changing the mission parameters during the mission. Felicity, that's how people get killed. Don't do that. But I do like the possibilities of an evil Laurel being in the mix, and there was a lot of really nice character stuff here. Um, so yeah, there was my nitpicks aside, there was a lot of good stuff, and there was a lot of good stuff to like in this one. Okay. This episode kind of pissed me off. Black Siren and that great mid-season cliffhanger, and just seems like filler now. And I just flat out hated Felicity here, the biggest Mary Sue on TV at this point. Yeah, she's kind of getting out of control. I mean, the producers love her to death, and they are really starting to push her beyond her means. It's like, Jesus, even in episodes that focus on other characters, it's like the whole universe like revolves around Felicity, isn't it? It's really getting out of hand. I used to like Felicity. Hell, in the first 2 seasons, she was my favorite character. Now, she's getting annoying, man. She really is. I mean, she'd been getting progressively less charming, starting in season 3. It's just been getting worse and worse, and now it's like she's just becoming a monster. When it comes to Felicity right now, I feel about her the same way people felt about Laurel in seasons 1 and 2. All right. I think she's a different kind of annoying than Laurel was back then, but yeah, I see where you're coming from. Let's see, Talia. So unless she dies in the flashback, where the hell was Talia during everything that went down with Roz in season 3? Yeah, good question. I hope they explain that. Talia is Prometheus' teacher. Oliver mentioned it, so he knows someone who teaches this martial art used by Prometheus in the last episode. Okay, cool. This episode bothered me. It was bizarre and not that well written. I expected more. I expected she came back for real or didn't die for real, as I stand by. All right. Well, at least they didn't try to concoct some bullshit thing like Flashpoint brought her back, because that would have made no sense. It's like, because they all remember Laurel dying exactly the way it happened. And then it's like, oh no, Flashpoint changed things. I never really died at all. Yeah, that would be bullshit. Let's see. Thank God they didn't have her come back from Flashpoint. Yeah. Talia showing up was cool, but just don't get the new Black Canary chick. I have no idea who she's supposed to be. They say she has connections to some character from the comics, so I'm assuming the name Tina Boland is like is like an alias or something. I'm gonna give her a chance. I think it is really fucking convenient and really pushing it that she also has a sonic scream. Like, Oliver decides that they need to look for a new Black Canary, and in the very next episode, they find a girl who also has a sonic scream. Like, what the fuck, man? You seriously? So that's really fucking stretching it, but I'm gonna give her a chance. Maybe I'll like the character, who knows? Let's see, I've been reading comics since 1992, and I never saw more than 2 of them, so I have no clue who this chick is supposed to be. Alright. I'm glad I didn't miss anything there, because I was wondering, like, is this someone from the comics that I don't know about? This was DC CW falling back into that trap where they just say we will just give you a big moment with Talia and this woman at the end, and everyone will be happy even though the story here sucked. Let's see, my only guess is the chick at the end is Banshee, who's a villainess. I have no other idea. Oh, Silver Banshee? Didn't she just show up on Supergirl recently? I don't know. I'm not watching Supergirl, but I saw a clip of Silver Banshee on that on in there. I think her and Livewire were teaming up. Was that from last season? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was not the same actress. So who knows? What do you make of this chick, Cara Maria? Said in this tweet, "Is it a requirement for WWE women to dress and act like strippers? I can't tell any of them apart. Try something new, ladies." Uh, oh yeah, I saw that. I don't know. Sounded like a casual fan who doesn't really watch much wrestling, making with a smart ass comment. I mean, if you think about it, the divas dress a lot more conservatively than they used to. Like remember back in the Attitude Era, um, where fucking what was it? Miss Kitty at one point stripped down to just covering up her privates, and then they had her boobs. He took off her top, and then her nipples were covered up with like little pieces of tape or something. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, they show some skin, but it's not like they're stripping down to nothing anymore. It sounded like a casual fan just trying to act like a smartass. I don't know what it is, but there is something about Black Siren that makes Katie Cassidy look really hot. She does great in that role too. The nose ring was a turnoff. I don't know why I don't know why any girl would get those. Those are not attractive. See, the only person I could think of is Silver Banshee, but she didn't look anything like any of the ways Banshee has looked before. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, they gave away that was Black Siren in a promo. Jesus, guys, really? Yeah, I know. Maybe they anticipated that people were going to feel like they were getting jerked around, so they decided to head it off at the pass. See, everyone took offense to that, including Chelsea Green, Sasha Banks, and Paige. Yeah, yeah. It's like I said, just someone trying to act like a smartass who probably isn't even a big fan of wrestling. Silver Banshee's on Supergirl and is not the same actress, so I don't think it's her. Yeah. My guess is it's somebody else. Maybe a new character. Let's see, Kenny Omega wants to re-sign with New Japan for a year. All right. Team Flash, aka the Team Barry, fucks everything up, and also people give you a crap about it. Also, did people give you crap about Iris? Yeah. I got spammed by Iris fans on Tuesday who were coming to Iris's defense. Yeah, see, these clowns seem to think that they were on Tumblr or something, because Tumblr, if you tag something wrong or say I don't like this character or something, then all of a sudden, boom, you're a racist or you're worse than Hitler or something. But no, Twitter is the social media platform where you're kind of free to speak your mind, whatever it is, and it's like they don't get that. So I said the show would probably be improved if they killed Iris off, and suddenly here comes the yeah, you can't say that about Iris. You're messing with the wrong character. Yeah, and like, oh, bunch of morons. Just more of this SJW nonsense, Like you can't say two words without offending somebody. Let's see. Got a point there with the base not being safe once again. Remember what happened in the season 4 finale? Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Also, really love Oliver's new optimism that had to be needed for all the mistakes he made with his attitude. Yeah, well, Oliver tends to flip-flop a lot from being full of hope and having no hope. So I guess it was time for him to flip the switch again. There's a black guy named Jericho who had sonic powers. Maybe this is the now we made her a feminist version of Jericho. Maybe. Black Siren was engaged to Earth 2 Oliver. That could be why she knew where the hideout was. Well, yeah, she also said that her Oliver had been dead for 10 years, right? So, unless Oliver became the Green Arrow prior to the point in time where the Queen's Gambit crashed on Lian Yu, that'd be, I don't know, that'd be stretching it a bit, I think. Yeah, Jericho was Deathstroke's son. Yeah, I think so. Um, Mute was a high tech horn or something. Oh, I don't know. Uh, so Felicity has been training with Amanda Nunes. Oh man, that was some bullshit right there. I'm sorry. We see her working out with a punching bag one time, and then suddenly she can knock somebody out cold with one punch. Man, Felicity's really getting out of hand. Let's see. Okay, there's some debate about who Jericho is and whatever. Don't really need to talk about that because honestly, my knowledge of Jericho begins and ends with Linkara's History of Teen Titans videos that he did a couple years ago. Felicity started going downhill for me, starting with the Ray relationship, has been nosediving ever since. Yeah, that's when that character started to go off the rails. She was really, I loved her in the first two seasons, but starting in season 3, when they started really playing up the romantic aspect of her and Oliver, and they started putting her into love triangles and doing more storylines like that. Man, the writing for that character really took a downswing. It's been going downhill since. Funny thing is that when Cara Maria was praising Lita when she was bashing the women for looking like strippers. All right. Iris has a fan base. Yeah, believe it or not, there are people who like her. Um, I've been chewed out on Tumblr a couple of times for mentioning that I didn't like the character. There's one time I mentioned that getting rid of Iris would probably improve the show because the character is just really superfluous and doesn't really do anything important. It doesn't really contribute anything. And all of a sudden, I get these Iris fans coming out of the woodwork calling me a racist, saying that Barry loves black chicks, and you go take your mayonnaise snowberry relationship somewhere else and whatnot. Funny thing is, I didn't even mention Snowberry. I never brought it up. They were the ones who did that. So I don't like Iris, so automatically I'm a racist and a blah 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 and all this other bullshit. And so I had to make several really detailed explanations about this, saying that look, I don't care what color Iris is. She could be fucking black, white, yellow, green, purple, polka dot, whatever. My issue is with the fucking character. It's God, Tumblr is exhausting about that type of shit. All right. All right. Again, let's try to keep this on topic, guys. Let's save the off-topic stuff for afterward. But see, if Leia survives Episode 8, the only way out J.J. Abrams and company have about Leia is that in Episode 9, Ren and his men found Leia's hideout and killed her. What do you think? Well, it would mean that they'd have to kill Leia off screen, which would be a horrible disservice to that character. So I don't like it. I mean, there may not be a good way out of that situation. That's why I'm hoping that Leia dies in Episode 8. That's why she gets a proper send off. Will you check out the new Power Rangers movie? Yeah, sure. I'm pretty nostalgic for Power Rangers. I watched that as a little kid. And it actually looks kind of interesting too. Let's see. I missed season one Felicity. Yeah, before the character just took on a life of its own and became like a monster taking over the whole show. Uh, who is Snowberry? Snowberry is the name for the ship of Barry and Caitlin. Just how when celebrities get together, you just mash their names together uh, like Benifer or whatever the fuck. So it's Snowberry. Yeah. Do you listen to Sum 41? No, not in years. They had one song they did that I liked. I think it was on the American Pie, the American Wedding soundtrack, I believe. But yeah, I haven't thought about them in years. People on Tumblr fans of Agent May. Yeah, of course. So, yeah, because she's a woman and she's a person of color. So yeah, there's a lot of people on Tumblr who love May because she's got a free pass. Speaking of which, let's move on to Agents of Shield, season 4, episode 11. Wake up. Daisy is making a big show of talking to Senator Nadir in court to explain her actions as Quake, I guess, while she was undercover. And while Coulson and Yo-Yo plant bugs in Nadir's office, but she was ready for them and set a trap, which tells S.H.I.E.L.D. that there's a mole in the organization. Fitz figures out that Radcliffe is the one that made Ada go nuts, and they capture him, but not before he replaces himself with an LMD and gets the hell out of Dodge, not to mention moving Ada 2.0 off-site where she can continue to watch over the comatose May, who is trapped in the Matrix running a Groundhog's Day simulation. It's a lot more fucked up than it sounds. Also, just when you thought Mac and Yo-Yo were the fun couple on the show, Mac tells a dead baby story. It was kind of a downer, actually. The most interesting thing about this episode by a mile was the May stuff. And May has never really been my favorite character, but what they did with her here had so many cool twists and turns, while at the same time giving us like a really intimate look into her brain and what makes her tick. It was kind of fascinating, actually. All in an episode where she's unconscious the whole time, or just about the whole time. First we see her trying to escape. She fights off the simulation, and I love that she does this because the simulation was designed to make her comfortable. And that's how she knew it wasn't real. Because for May, since Bahrain, being comfortable has become such an alien thing to her that she doesn't even recognize it anymore. It just feels wrong to her now. Which is really sad for May, actually. But, and unfortunately for her, it was only going to get worse from there. Then she makes her second escape attempt, and she actually fights off Ada, escapes the lab, only for Ada to catch up with her. They fight again. May throws Ada out the window, but Ada just de-reses and reappears. But because of the writing and the way they staged the sequence, I thought that was all real up to that point. I didn't realize it was just another simulation until Ada disappeared. That was a cool twist. And again, it says some really interesting stuff about May, that she's not comfortable unless she's uncomfortable. So to keep her in a simulation, they had to give her like something to fight, something to struggle against. It's like May is just hardwired to punish herself. That's how deeply the Bahrain thing affected her. And that makes that final simulation with her all the more horrifying. Because now they're giving her exactly what she really wanted. She wanted to save that little girl, that kid's death that she always hated herself for, that she always blamed herself for, that basically destroyed her whole life because she could never forgive herself for it. And now they're giving that to her, letting her think that she saved the girl. And finally, they've got her in a simulation where not only is May not fighting it, she doesn't want to leave. And holy shit, when May finally comes out of that, I don't know when it'll happen, but when she finally comes out of that, when she gets ripped out of that simulation, when that gets taken away from her, it's going to be so devastating. I honestly don't know what's going to happen. Either May is going to be completely destroyed, like suicidal, even, or she's just going to she's like going to kill anyone in her path until she gets to Radcliffe. That poor bastard has no idea what he's done to himself. Oh, man, he better like get out of the country before May is awake, or oh man, he's in for a world of hurt. And I can't wait to see this because for 4 seasons, May has always been the stoic one. You know, the Bahrain incident is the one thing that showed how human and vulnerable she really was. And now Radcliffe and Ada have thrown that right in her face and teased her with what might have been. And one way or another, May's reaction to this is going to be fucking terrifying. Everything else is really good too. You know, we see S.H.I.E.L.D. trying to scope out Nadir, but once again, she's got more on the ball than they think. Smart villains, guys. Those are the best kind. And it means that the good guys have to be smart to defeat them, and no one has the option of acting like an idiot like they do on The Flash every fucking week. So Nadir lays a trap for S.H.I.E.L.D., gets them in hot water, and now they've got to answer to this like Senate subcommittee or whatever it was. But it reveals that they've got a mole. Meanwhile, Fitz figures out who the mole is and doesn't let his friendship with Radcliffe blind him to the truth or stop him from realizing that he's an LMD. Because Fitz has been betrayed by people he thought were his friends before. It's actually happened to him a couple times now. You know, in season 1, he refused to accept it. You know, he didn't want to believe it. He just couldn't let it. It just wouldn't process in his head. But now he knows when to be suspicious. He knows when something's not right because on this show, the characters are actually capable of growth. Imagine that. And then, you know, that whole conversation with Mac and Yo-Yo. Oh my God, we just had that episode like 2 weeks ago where those two were like comedy gold and they're just throwing out zingers left and right. And you think that this couple is going to be where the levity comes from. It's like, you know, and everyone else it's like just drama. And like in Fitzsimmons, you know, they're going through, you know, a lot of drama. They've got drama piled on them all the time. But you think, okay, Mac and Yo-Yo, it's going to be light and funny with these two. This is going to be where the fun comes from. This is going to be where we go to for laughs. And then they flip the script and give us a dead baby story. What a gut punch that turned out to be. Yeah, there's so many different layers to these characters. You know, they can be hilarious 1 minute and heartbreaking the next. And that was the real tug on the heartstrings moment this week. You know, whereas the Caitlyn thing just felt forced as hell. And I like Caitlyn for the most part, but this is the difference between a well-told story and a poorly told story. This episode was great. You know, this is one of the best May episodes of the whole series. You know, it's certainly one of the most illuminating when it comes to her character, and the impressive thing is that there's very little action here. You get a couple short little fights, but for the most part, it's just all plot twists and character stuff. You know, we're even learning more about May through the May LMD. You know, we know she's thinking about Coulson because the robot May is thinking about Coulson, and her being programmed to not want to reveal herself as a robot was something I didn't see coming. So, although she's got that injury that exposes her on her back, and the way this is going, you have to figure that her and Coulson are eventually gonna go for it. And he'll find the injury with the exposed metal underneath the skin, and he'll realize she's a robot at the most awkward time imaginable. You know what's coming. You know, whether he'll figure it out pre or post coitus, I don't know. But either way, that's gonna be really, really fucked up. And can you imagine if May finds out about that? Like, she gets ripped out of the fucking simulation, and she's all horrified and shit, and then to top it all off, she finds out that Coulson did it with the May-shaped robot. Oh, Christ. May is going to need so much therapy when this is over. Oy. Alrighty. Let's see. Looks like they're going through with the Felinda shipping theory that Coulson and May have had feelings for each other since the academy, but just never realized it before. I don't think it's that they didn't realize it. It's just that I don't know. It's hard for me to comment on that because I never really saw those two as romantic necessarily, and I didn't really want them to turn romantic. I always just saw them as like really close friends and like trusted colleagues, and that was kind of it. And maybe there was the option for it to turn romantic, but I think they just didn't. They chose not to go down that road. Plus, they were both with other people. May had Andrew, and Coulson had Audrey. And later, the Constance Zimmer character last season. But we kind of see where that was going right now. They both had love interests that got killed, and it kind of cleared the table of all that stuff, all the obstacles. So now there's the option that is like, hey, May's right there. I'm not with anybody. She's not with anybody anymore. So, maybe. It's like I think this is like them considering the possibility for the first time. Because it's like, well, who else is there for these two right now, It's going to be interesting when Coulson realizes the real May might not be because she has been captured this whole time. Yeah. Did Simmons torture someone? That seems unlike who she is. Did she torture someone? I don't think so. I mean, they had that guy from the Watchdogs that they captured, but she scared him with Ada's head. I don't think there was any torture involved. My guess is that Radcliffe didn't know the truth about Bahrain, and May remembering is what will wake her up for real. I don't know. It seemed like he knew the truth, and he knew how to make May. He knew what it took to get May to stay in the simulation. He knew how to manipulate her in that way. I'm not exactly sure how they could extract her memories and know what she's thinking. Not sure how that works. Because they had to program the May LMD somehow with all her memories and personality and shit. So that hasn't been explained. Don't know if it necessarily needs to, but no, I think Radcliffe knew exactly what he was doing in that case. I think the real kicker is that May, even if she remembers, she may not want to wake up from this, because in a way the lie is more comforting to her than reality. Let's see. Really worried about AOS. Let's see, the ratings dropped almost below 2 million. ABC is spending a lot of money on it, only to not get the ratings it needs to stay afloat. Yeah. I haven't been watching the ratings. I stopped looking at the ratings because it was just I'm a lot less stressed out when I don't look at those. I know the ratings haven't been great. I believe that the president of ABC was asked about AOS. Possibilities for another season. He seemed optimistic about it. He said he felt good about it. I know like the overnight ratings aren't good, but AOS tends to have like really good DVR numbers, and he did mention that. So the playback numbers are always pretty high. So it's not just about like overnight ratings anymore. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that factors in. There's like there's streaming views on like Netflix and stuff like that, and you can watch the show through like a number of legal channels, and all those views count. So I know, like at first glance, the ratings aren't good, but there's a lot more to it than just like the overnight stuff. There's a whole different number of factors that have to be tabulated. So the outlook doesn't appear like great, but I think there's more to it than you see at first glance. I'm not really anticipating another season, but I'd say it's not impossible. Stranger things have happened. Do you and Deluxe Man talk about Shield often? We tweet back and forth about it once in a while during the show. Because, he's a fan of the show, I'm a fan of the show, so we trade tweets about that occasionally. I think Fitz is crushing on the robot. He seems to be hiding stuff about her, like the fact that he downloaded her mind. No, he's not. Yeah, I think Fitz crushing on anything that's not Gemma Simmons, it would just be completely out of character at this point. He's a eunuch to every other woman on Earth, real or robotic. And Fitz has never displayed the slightest like romantic interest or sexual desire towards Ada. He was interested in her because she's really fucking interesting. She's an AI in an android body. She's like one of the first of her kind. He's an engineer. He's into all that sciencey stuff. He's going to be really fascinated because she's really fascinating. And also, he was looking into her, downloading her brain and everything because he was running an investigation. He knew something was screwy about that whole situation, and he was right. That's how he found out that Radcliffe was the one who set all that up. Because he knew there was something wrong, and that's why he was looking into it. And that's why he did all that stuff. I'd like to see Mac kick Barry's ass. That would be nice. Barry would have no defense against the shotgun axe. At some point, Nadir is going to become the thing that she hates the most. Her brother is an inhuman, so one little bit of Terrigen Mist, and she will turn to probably something pretty gross. Not necessarily. Maybe they could be like, it could be your half brother. Like maybe, suppose the brother got like the inhuman gene from his father, and maybe the mother like had a relationship with a different man, and that's where Nadir came from. Maybe they're half siblings. We don't know. So you're probably right. She probably is an inhuman, but I don't think it's a sure thing. I'm hoping and praying he has a heel turn, becomes the mad thinker. I would fucking explode with joy. Anything's possible, but I really don't think so, dude. Also, Mad Thinker is a different character. Then what happens with Simmons afterwards? Well, I don't think Fitz is going to turn heel. I highly doubt that. If he did, I think she would go nuts trying to redeem him. That's the way these two are. I thought after last week's episode and when I saw the premiere that May waking up was just going to be a mind play. It's a good twist. Yeah, that was really good. Let's see. Nothing happens. Simmons moves on with her life after crying, and we drop this Fitzsimmons nonsense. LOL. No, she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't move on. These two don't move on. That's not the way their relationship is. How much longer will Simmons be able to take Fitz's Ada obsession before she finally snaps? Dude, he was investigating it. He knew there was something wrong. He suspected that she didn't go nuts because of the Darkhold. He suspected that maybe it was Radcliffe who programmed her to do all that stuff, and he was right. He was investigating Ada because he knew there was something screwy going on. And lo and behold, he found a fucking mole in the organization. It wasn't an obsession. It was an investigation. That was an actual line from the show. And afterwards, Simmons is like, oh, wow, so that's why you've been doing all that stuff. And how she was immediately back on his side afterward. When Radcliffe tried to talk to him, she's like, don't you talk to him. You know, Fitz had suspicions that you were the one who did all this when Ada went nuts. He suspected that you were the one that wasn't the Darkhold the whole time, and he was right. See, once Simmons understood, she was on board with it. You guys you're not thinking clearly about this. Why are the writers doing this to Fitzsimmons? Doing what? They had a little argument. People in relationships have arguments. And you have to have tension in a relationship because if they're just completely happy all the time, it doesn't make for interesting TV. And it's not like they broke up or anything. They had an argument. Fitz explained what the deal was, and now they're not having an argument anymore. Let's see. Maybe for Infinity War scene with the S.H.I.E.L.D. characters, they can probably make a cameo as the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent's delivery on one of the Infinity Stones to the Avengers, like the Rebels in Rogue One. Wouldn't count on it. The TV divisions and the movie division don't really have anything to do with each other anymore. They've kind of separated. It would be cool, but I doubt it'll happen. And did you know the actor who plays Grant Ward is in the movie with HBK? Yeah, Brett Dalton. Then the Resurrection of Gavin Stone is the movie. I heard he was really good in it, but it's a WWE film, and I have no desire to watch those. One was enough. I love the Radcliffe robot twist, as well as the other great moments. Season 4 is my favorite so far. Yeah, that was a cool twist. Next, because we knew there was another LMD, because they teased that. I didn't think it was Radcliffe, though. How do you define characters' romantic chemistry? Good question. How the hell do you define it? I don't know if you can define it. It's just something that's there or it's not. Like maybe it's an actor thing. Like the actors just really enjoy working together, and it comes across, or like it's just a natural way you respond. They respond to each other. Like we see that in real life. You know, some people just naturally bounce off each other really well, and some people don't. You know, some people just rub each other the wrong way. It's not really something that you can explain or quantify, but it's there. Sometimes two people are just going to click, and it's obvious. And you can see like there's a mutual attraction there, and sometimes they don't click, and the whole thing is really forced. I don't really think you can define it. It's kind of an indefinable thing. It would be cool if we got flashbacks to Coulson and May back at the Academy days with younger actors and have them do a mission. That would be interesting. They could get the right actors, though. When Radcliffe turned out to be a robot, my jaw hit the floor. I thought for a moment how long he was one. Yeah. I think they explained that, though. It's like after the Ada made the play for the Darkhold and that didn't work out, he figured it was a time to put a contingency plan in place there. Yeah. That was a good twist, though. Have you seen the new Daily Show with Trevor Noah? No, haven't. I've seen a few clips of it, though. Thoughts on Bannon telling the media to shut up? Haven't seen that yet. Only about 4 more episodes left in the LMD arc. It's going to be interesting to see how that wraps up. Did they say that somewhere? I guess... I don't know. I don't recall them saying how many episodes this arc was going to be, but I don't know. It could be your half-brother. Come on, bro. Come on. I know it's a long shot, but it's possible. Though the inhuman gene could have come from one parent. It could have. It's a possibility. It's probably not. That's probably not going to be the case, but it's a possibility. I like to consider all possibilities. Let's see. Radcliffe did say in the back of May's mind she always wanted this. That that's what gives some bearing to the not realizing theory. All right. I tend to think that on some level May probably knows it's not real and just doesn't want to leave. On some level that she's not really acknowledging. Is the Mad Thinker a different character? Because we never knew his real name. It maybe fits whatever. Holding out hope. No. Never knew his real name? Okay, but Mad Thinker has been a character in the comics for years, and Shield Agent Leo Fitz is a different character. Shield Agent Leo Fitz is a character in the comics now, and they're two different people. What do you think of this? Gray, Cabby, and Debbie Ryan have been cast for Cloak and Dagger. This is the first time hearing about that, actually. You know what? Let's take a look. I'm going to Google them, see what they look like. See, Gray. Hold on. Gray, Cabby, Debbie Ryan. Okay. Interesting. Okay, maybe this is a bad picture, but this is not how I picture Cloak and Dagger. Okay, the dude playing Cloak looks really light-skinned. I always pictured Cloak like dark as fuck. Not in a racist way, but yeah, that's his thing. You know, she's the bright one and he's the dark one. You know, he's the one he's like the one whose powers like come from the dark force or whatever. That's their thing. One is light, one is dark, and it's like the two opposing forces there. So I always pictured him being a really dark skinned dude. And wow, is that just a bad picture? Debbie Ryan does not look very attractive. Let me see if I can find a better picture. Okay, there's a better picture. Still doesn't look like how I pictured Dagger. Oh, Noah Gray Cabby. Holy shit, was he... Wait a minute. Holy shit, he was that kid from Heroes. He played Micah. Wow, I hope he's gotten less annoying since then. Yeah, he was Micah from Heroes. Holy shit. Wow. Now he looks different. Now, he looks real different. Yeah, okay. I mean, he seemed like a decent enough actor before, even though I didn't really like the character. Debbie Ryan, never heard of her before, but she doesn't really look like how I pictured Dagger. But who knows? I've never seen her in anything. But you know, Marvel hasn't really screwed up on a casting choice yet, so they've earned our trust at this point. If they think this is Cloak and Dagger, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Oh boy, what is your top 5 movies of all time? Oh man, you know I never have a good answer to this. It's like I can't even name my top favorite movie, you know, because it tends to change. Like my default answer is Fight Club, but I mean, there's so many. I don't know. So many movies that I could put in my favorite. The Incredibles is one of my favorites. What the hell else? The original Star Wars trilogy is up there. Wow. Honestly, I don't know. I don't have a good answer to that. I mean, if you gave me a while, I could go through all my DVDs and movies and probably come up with something. But off the top of my head, I don't really know. You check out the new 24 spinoff, 24 Legacy. Oh man, probably not. I've kind of divorced myself from 24. You know, once upon a time, it was one of my favorite shows. Um, but I felt like they kind of left it in a good place when the show ended, and I didn't bother with the series revival um, because it just felt kind of sadistic to me. It's like, dude, we left Jack. Yeah, he went on the run and everything, but he was still alive, and Chloe was still alive, and it's like, okay, like what else can you possibly do to these people? They're both okay, and they're not in a great place, but they're alive, and let's just leave it there. Do we have to invite them back for another round of of hell? Another day of hell? It just feels sadistic. And I like to think that those characters found some peace afterward. So I didn't bother with the series revival. Now they're doing a new one, and I don't know. I don't really have much of a desire to watch the revival because even though the show was always great, it was. I mean, the twists were getting progressively more uh, hard to swallow. It's like, what the hell else could they possibly do now to these people? You know? I mean, yeah, it's a whole new cast now, but I mean, it's. I feel like it's going to be the same situation. Like you did several seasons. Like what was it? Like seven, 8 seasons or something. Is it just going to be more of the same stuff? I don't know. I mean, I love 24, but I feel like the original show was enough for me. And the new show could very well be great. I don't know. I just don't have much of an interest in watching it. At least we get Patton Oswalt next week. Hope they don't kill him off. Yeah, the Koenigs are back next week. I can't wait. You'll find because we don't know if he's an LMD or a clone or what, but we're gonna get a bunch of Koenigs next week. I'm really excited for that. Debbie Ryan was in Disney shows like Jessie. I've never seen that. All right, so I've never seen Debbie Ryan in anything, so I can't vouch for her. It's like Zendaya, she was like, I guess she was from the Disney factory too, and now she's playing a character that may or may not be Mary Jane Watson in the new Spider-Man movie. I have no opinion of her because I've never seen her in anything. It's not even confirmed that she is playing MJ, but now, okay, Debbie Ryan is playing Dagger. All right, well, maybe she's good. The Marvel casting people have been on point so far, so we'll see. Do you read the AOS comics? Uh, so what's going on in the storylines and how different are the characters? I did. I read the first two story arcs when Mark Waid was writing them. The characters all seemed. There were a couple. Maybe there were subtle differences, but for the most part, they seemed pretty true to their TV show counterparts. When Mark Guggenheim took over the book, that's when I checked out, and that's when things really started going into a different direction. Like Fitz is a double agent, and Simmons is, Simmons becomes a Deathlock. Sorry, spoilers. Yeah, it felt like Mark Guggenheim was maybe trying a little bit too hard to be different and didn't really respect the origins of some of these characters. Fitz especially became like really different under his run. So I didn't bother reading Mark Guggenheim's run. I think the series is wrapped up now. I don't know, but the first two arcs by Mark Waid are a lot of fun. So I like those. So I bought the two trades. I have them back there somewhere. Don't have the Mark Guggenheim stuff though. Debbie Ryan was in a lot of Disney shows. Not a real looker by Stack, but Not a Real Looker by Stack, but her role was tight sweater on every show. But Stack, okay. Okay. Not getting any kind of assessment of her acting abilities so far. I like that Rogue One picture right next to you. Rogue One was awesome. I give Rogue One 10 out of 10. How did you rate the movie? Oh yeah, they were handing those out for free at the movie theater, so I grabbed one. Yeah, I keep meaning to hang it up somewhere. Um, I liked Rogue One a lot. Wasn't perfect. I think that it's well documented that they had a lot of reshoots, and like the reshoots like drastically changed the movie, and you could kind of tell that there were kind of two versions of the movie at war with each other, and it didn't all quite mesh together. Like the CGI squid thing that shows up for one scene and erases Bodhi, like screws up Bodhi's mind, and then he's kind of confused about that for like one scene, then he snaps out of it, and then he's fine for the rest of the movie. Stuff like that. Um, I liked it for the most part. I think I was hoping for like a more exploration into the characters. I did like the characters. They weren't all given as much depth as I was hoping for, and I think the emotional kick of the movie about Jin and her father didn't really hit me as hard as I was hoping for. I think they tried, but the emotional core of the movie was something was missing from there. It just didn't really affect me like I was hoping it would. I think overall, I really did like the movie a lot. The Vader scenes were awesome. The third act is some of the best action we've seen in any Star Wars movie. Arguably the best. Probably the best space battle in all the movies. Um, I wish they could have had like one more draft of the script done to just iron out some of those kinks and get a version of the those two different cuts that just kind of gelled a little better. I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10 though. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie, but it's certainly not my least favorite either. I think, but in terms of like starting these Star Wars anthology movies, this was a really good one to start with though. This it could have been a hell of a lot worse. So I liked it. Let's If I wanted a Disney girl, I'd go with Brenda Song, smoking hot Asian girl. Okay, well, Dagger is not Asian, so they'd have to race bend that. But okay, I'll take your word for it. Jessie is a Disney show that references Game of Thrones. Hmm. Okay. Anyone remember when Miley Cyrus was hot? I mean, since we're on Disney Girls now, she used to be hotter and less skeletal. Uh, Miley Cyrus may have been kind of cute at one point. I don't say I wouldn't say I'd ever call her hot. And she these days I don't know. She's kind of nasty looking at this point. Have you ever seen The Crow? Yes, of course. Great movie. Um, if you had to pick your top three story arcs from Game of AOS, uh, top three story arcs? Wow. I don't know how I'd rate them, but I think Grant Ward being revealed as a Hydra agent was a really good one. That was one of the best like shocking reveals of the whole series when they revealed him to be in league with Garrett in season one. My jaw dropped open when that happened. What else? What else? What else? I think Fitz's brain damage recovery arc was really well handled. I mean, it wasn't. It was kind of a subtle, just a subtle character piece, but I think the acting was A plus. What else? I don't know. Shield versus Jia Ying. Yeah, that was pretty good. Uh, the Maveth saga, really? The Maveth thing. I honestly I think the Maveth saga may have been one of the weakest they've ever done. There were so many things that didn't add up about that whole situation, especially when you get to the space asshole part. Because that character was so ill conceived from the get go. So many plot holes about that. To this day, that bothers me. How just poorly mapped out that was. There's so many holes about that. Um, uh, um, Ever heard of the Captain Caveman cartoons? No, I have not. My Star Wars movies: Empire, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. So wait, you rate Attack of the Clones? Wait, Attack of the Clones is your number two Star Wars movie? Really? To each their own, I guess. But wow. Oh wow. Will you watch the Royal Rumble this Sunday? If I feel like it. I don't really have much of a desire to watch it, but I might watch just out of curiosity, because the Rumble usually is pretty fun. It's still more in Space Asshole. No, fuck that guy. Are you a fan of Sami Zayn? He's a really good wrestler. Personality-wise, the guy is just does nothing for me. I think they could stand to give him more of a character, or any kind of character. But I appreciate what he can do in the ring. Phantom Menace over A New Hope, really? Yeah, now I think he's just trolling when he said that. Phantom Menace over A New Hope. Wow. Okay. So that appears to be about it. I enjoyed Phantom Menace more than A New Hope. The original was boring. Oh, so those endless Senate meetings weren't boring? Okay. You know what? I'm not going to poke the bear in this situation. You like Phantom Menace more than A New Hope? I think I'm just going to let that stand. I think I prefer not to pull threads on this one. Let's wrap it up for tonight, because I haven't eaten dinner yet. So I'm going to go do that. Thanks for joining me, everybody. And I will see you guys on Saturday for the Impact Review. Good talk tonight, good questions. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you this weekend. Later.